Night has fallen, and the moon is a glowing golden orb in the black sky. See how it shines on the dark back roads of America, and on one road in particular. Come with us, and we'll take a walk down the moonlit road, for the night is waiting, and the moon is full.
The Moonlit Road presents Episode 34, Knock Knock, Who's There? Written and told by JJ Reneaux.
Down around New Orleans, the land is so low and wet that the dead have to be buried above the ground in a vault. Folks don't bury the dead in a grave in the ground. Whew, no. If the river were to overflow the levee, or a hurricane to flood the land, your loved one might just float back up from the grave and pay you a return visit. Down the river a little ways from La Ville, New Orleans, there once lived an old man with his only child, a pretty jolie fille called Thérèse. Her mama had died, and Thérèse was left in the care of her papa, a greedy, miserly man who worked his girl like a mule, and he dressed her in rags. And though she was of a marrying age, he would not allow any young man to court her. She saw no one except her mean old papa. Now the only thing he cared for were his gold coins that he kept hidden under a loose board in the floor beneath his bed. And every night he'd lock his door, and by the light of a flickering candle he'd count his golden coins. He loved the way they clinked and glowed and weighed so heavy in his hands. But poor Thérèse, she was so lonesome. Every night she'd come knocking on his door. Knock, knock. Her papa would yell out, "Who's there?" "Papa, c'est moi," she'd say. "It's me, Thérèse. Papa, let me in. I am so lonely. Talk with me." But her papa would only holler back at her, "Girl, get on out of here and get back to work. You only want to get your hands on my gold, and that'll be over my dead body." And so it went until one night. Knock, knock. "Who's there?" "Papa, it's me, Thérèse, me. I'm sick, she says. "Papa, please, let me in." But he just yelled back, "You lazy good-for-nothing. Get on out of here. You're not sick. You just want to get your hands on my money, and that'll be over my dead body." And again, Thérèse returned to her papa's door. Knock, knock. "Who's there?" "Papa, c'est moi. Papa, please let me in. I'm bad sick. I need the healer. Please, Papa, get the traiteurs." Knock, knock. "Who's there?" "Papa, please let me in. The pain is worse. Oh, Papa, open the door." But her papa's heart was as cold as his golden coins. At last, the girl's cries faded to silence, and she knocked no more. The old man was full of curiosity, and so he opened the door, and there, lying lifeless on the porch floor, was jolie Thérèse. Now that old man was too stingy to buy a vault for his daughter. Instead, he laid Thérèse in a crude wooden coffin, and he buried her in a shallow, swampy grave down by the cypress tree. The neighbors shook their heads. They warned there would be trouble, for how could poor Thérèse rest in peace in such a grave? 3 weeks went by, and a storm began to coil up out over the Gulf. The winds churned and the rain fell like needles as the hurricane passed over the land. Night found that old man sitting in his room counting his gold coins by flickering candlelight. Outside, the wind howled and blew sheets of rain against the house. He didn't know that the river had already spilled over the levee and sent its dark water across the land. The old man sat in his rocking chair, his lap full of gold, rocking and counting. 1, 2, 3. Suddenly, something thumped up against the porch with a hollow wooden clatter, and great big knocks sounded at his door. "Who's there?" Only a great sigh like the wind answered. Just a loose shutter banging, he thinks, and he goes on counting his shining gold. 1, 2, 3. More knocks on his door, stronger this time. "Who's there?" Only a whining wind answered him. Just that good-for-nothing hound dog trying to get in. And he returned to his golden coins. 1, 2, 3. 3 great booming knocks hammered at his door. "Who's there?" Only a sad, low moaning. A shiver ran down the old man's back. "Storm's got me all jumpy. It's just the wind blowing that old live oak tree, scraping its branches against the house." But the moaning rose and rose above the wailing wind until it became a horrifying scream. "Papa, c'est moi, Therese, let me in. Papa, let me in. Papa, let me in." And as the eye of the storm passed over the house, a blood-curdling shriek pierced the deadly calm. 3 days passed, and the waters receded. Neighbors came by to look in on the old man. They rode onto his land, and as they passed by the cypress tree, they saw that the flood had washed all the dirt away from Therese's grave, and it was empty. They knocked at the back door, but no voice answered. Fearing some harm had befallen the old man, they went inside, and they found him sitting like stone in his rocking chair, cold as marble, his hair gone snow white. A silent scream was frozen on his face, and his glassy eyes bulged with terror. Across the room, the door hung limp from one hinge as though some monstrous fist had pounded it down. Before it lay a battered, splintered coffin, and inside the gruesome corpse of Therese. Her withered hands clutched her papa's golden coins, and a ghastly smile lay fixed on her decaying lips. With the money, the neighbors bought Therese a whitewashed vault and gave her a proper above-ground burial. But there was not enough money to buy the old man a vault, so they buried him in a pine coffin down by the cypress tree. Since that time, whenever the river threatens to flood the land, the old man's troubled spirit rises to warn all that danger is at hand. And folks know he's paid them a visit when they hear someone knock, knock, knocking at their door. But nobody is ever there.
That concludes this tale from the Moonlit Road. Be sure to visit our website at themoonlitroad.com to find out more about our stories and let us know how we're doing. The Moonlit Road is produced and directed by Craig Dominy, recorded and soundscaped by Henry Howard in beautiful Stone Mountain, Georgia. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.